Hello and welcome. This is going to be our lecture video for October 5th through 6th. For today's lecture video, we're going to be filling out this step-by-step binary lesson all about two-step equations. Go ahead and put your name up there. I'll just write key because this is going to be the answer key. Today's date, whatever period you have algebra. And let's all start with just a quick note about solving. So write this down. When we evaluate, we use PEMDAS. Talked about PEMDAS a whole lot in this class so far. All right. So PEMDAS is really useful when it's an expression with just numbers. It tells you how to take that expression and simplify it down to just a single number. But what happens when we have a variable? So when we solve, we use SADMAP. And SADMAP is just PEMDAS backwards. So SADMAP tells you that whatever's being done to the variable, that would normally happen in the order of PEMDAS, meaning that we have to undo it in the reverse order. All right, so if we, for example, if we just look at problem number 1, what's happening to the variable? It's being multiplied by 9 and then it's being added by 20. When we have to undo this, we're going to get rid of the 20 first, then get rid of the 9. Okay, let's start writing our steps down. So step 1. All right. Step 1 is to identify the most, in quotes, outside operation being done to the variable. In other words, what would be done last to the variable? Step 2 is undo the operation with the correct inverse operation. So once you identify what happens last, then you undo it. So let's do steps 1 and 2 real quick with problem number 1. So x is being multiplied by 9 and then being added by 20 in accordance with PEMDAS. So to get rid of the 20, the last step, I would want to subtract 20. Right there. Now step 3, we're going to write this one down again because it's just such an important step. Whatever you do to one side, you must do to the other. So back to problem number 1, I subtracted 20 from the left side. I have to also subtract 20 from the right side. On to step 4. Is now undo the remaining operation on the variable. At this point, it's a two-step equation, so we've already done step 1. We've got it down to a one-step equation at this point. And now we could look back at our one-step equation step-by-step binary lesson. But the gist of it is just you undo the remaining operation on the variable. And then step 5, once the variable is isolated, box your answer and double check by plugging your answer back in. All right, so let's go ahead and finish up problem number 1. So I subtracted 20 from both sides. Now I'm left with 9x equals negative 270. After we remove the remaining operation, which is this 9 times x, I undo that with its inverse operation of divide by 9. And I get x equals negative 30. I can box this and then plug it back in as a double check. So I plug it in here. 9 times negative 30 plus 20 equals negative 250. Negative 270 plus 20 equals negative 250. Negative 250 equals negative 250. It balances. So our double check is complete and we've got the right answer. Okay, let's try it with problem number 2. So b is being divided by 15 and then it's being added to this negative 11. That's how PEMDAS would have us do these two operations. So I got to get rid of this negative 11. What would cancel a negative 11? Well, a positive 11. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to both sides. And I'm left with b over 15 equals 1. Now, how do I get rid of the remaining operations? B is being divided by 15. The inverse operation of divide by 15 is multiply by 15. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other, and I'm left with b equals 15. Let's plug this back in. Negative 11 plus 15 over 15 is the same as negative 11 plus 1. Negative 11 plus 1 is a negative 10. Negative 10 equals negative 10. It passes our double check. All right, problem number 3. All right, m plus 1 divided by 39 equals negative 1. The most outside operation. So this one's a little bit tricky because you got this big fraction here, meaning that the first thing that would happen to m would be we'd add 1, then we'd divide by 39. So the first thing we undo is we multiply both sides by 39. That's the last operation being done to the variable. Now we're left with m plus 1 equals negative 39. We subtract 1 from both sides. We get m equals negative 40. Put a box around that, plug it back in to double check. All right, and problem number 4. Again, we have an operation being done on the top here. We undo that by multiplying both sides by negative 9. You get negative 15 plus n equals negative 27. Ask yourself, what's the remaining operation being done to the variable? This negative 15 is adding it, so I'm going to add a positive 15 to cancel out that negative 15 to both sides. And I'm left with n equals, this would be a good one to do in your calculator, so you don't make a mistake with positive negative numbers. N equals negative 12. Put a box around that. Plug it back in to double check. All right, I'll embed a few more questions here, but that's that for this video. Have a good rest of your day.